So there's two ways that the Helvetii were able to leave their land. One is through this easier way between the mountains, and that's the way they'd like to try to go, but Caesar prevents them and he forces them to go the difficult way across the mountains. So let's take a look at the passage. There were only two ways, by means of which ways or journeys from home to exit they were able, or they might be able. One through the Sequani, narrow and difficult. Between the mountain Jura and the Rhone River, in which road, scarcely one by one the carts might be led, so you have to put everything together to go in a single file, basically. A mountain, however, most tall, was hanging down or kind of impending from above, with the result that easily a few would be able to keep off, so a few could defend this road and prevent anyone from going through it. So it's not a very good way for them to travel if they're going to get attacked. Another through our province, which is easier and more convenient or unimpeded by much, an ablative degree of difference. Because between the borders of the Helvetii and the Allobrogi, who recently had been conquered, subdued or pacified, the Rhone flows, and it is crossed by waiting in some places, in not zero places, so that's some places. The most extreme city, or the farthest city of the Allobrogi, and the nearest to the borders or on the borders of the Helvetii, is Geneva. From that town, a bridge to the Helvetii extends. The main verb here is they were thinking themselves about to persuade the Allobrogi. So either they were thinking themselves about to persuade the Allobrogi, or because not yet in a good mind toward the Roman people they were seeming, or they were estimating themselves or thinking themselves about to compel by force, so to force them to cross, to let those people to let them cross, that through their, and what were they about to force them? That through their borders them to go they would allow. With all the things for the setting out having been prepared, they state the day on which day to the shore of their own all should come. That day was the 5th day before the calends of April, so you can read the footnotes, March 28th, with Lucio Pisone. It's actually kind of interesting how they counted the days too, so you might want to check it out. And with Allo Gabinus as consuls. A lot of ablative absolutes here. When it was announced to Caesar, and what was the it? Them through our province to attempt to make a journey, he hastens from the city, like from Rome probably, to set out, and with as great as possible, with as great as possible journeys as he is able into Gaul or into Lower Gaul, he pushes forward, hastens, march, fight, insists. Okay, so he marches into Lower Gaul, and to Geneva he arrives. Of the whole province, as great as possible, a number of soldiers he orders. So he orders out of the entire province as great a number of possible soldiers to come together. There were only in Lower Gaul, 1 legion. There was only in Lower Gaul 1 legion. And he orders to be torn down, or to be cut down, destroyed, the bridge which was toward Geneva. When concerning the arrival of him the Helvetii were made more certain, legates to him they send, the most noble of the state, of which legate Nemeus and Verruclosius, the chief place were holding, who were saying them for themselves to be in mind or an intention without any evil to make a journey through the province, because another journey they were having none, so they were having no other road by which to go, to ask that by his will it to them would be maybe allowed to do. Caesar, because in memory he was holding Lucius Cassius, the consul, and the downfall of Lucius Cassius, the consul, the downfall, and of his army having been beaten by the Helvetii. And there might be an implied essay in all of these, so in memoria tenebat Lucium Cassium occisum esse, so like for him, he's holding in his memory him to be killed. That's probably what's going on here. And to be sent underneath the yoke, so this is when they would put a bar across like this, and they would force all the defeated soldiers to walk across, and there'd be two guys kind of holding the bar there and another guy here, and they would force them to walk across. And when they had to walk underneath, it was kind of like a limbo, but a forward bend would force them to bow down to the king or the victorious general who's here. That's not a very good crown, but you get the picture. So he was not thinking it to be conceded, like it to be allowed, or he was thinking that it must not be allowed. That's probably what's going on here. Concedendum, yep. So that's going to be, he was thinking that it must not be allowed, nor men with hostile intention or with hostile. So with the opportunity having been given through the province of a journey to be made through the province, he was thinking, nor was he thinking men. So this should be an accusative. Nor was he thinking men. Nor was he thinking that men would refrain from injury and from evil with the opportunity having been given of making of a journey through the province.